Hey, wild-hearted beings. Do you ever feel like your ADHD or dyslexia interferes with your spiritual routine? Well, I think this is a really important topic because to me, like our spirituality it's really important, and I think that we seek to create a spiritual life and spiritual practices to actually help us like thrive in life and to bring out our meaning and do the thing that has meaning for us in our life and create more meaning and connection. And so if it's hard for us to create that kind of practice each day, I think that can be really frustrating. I know it was for me. I think some of the challenges that we can have as wild-hearted, sensitive, neurodivergent people in adhering to traditional spiritual practices are things like just like a fixed routine, right? It can feel really wrong. I know like a couple of friends of mine have just been like, I can't do that. I just can't do fixed routine. Like it just feels wrong in the body sometimes, right? And like trying to do that and work against our brains can be really damaging to our self-esteem and our self-worth, right? I think that like time blindness and just forgetting or getting our attention focused on from one thing to another, I think that can be really difficult, right? Suddenly, like we've forgotten that we were trying to do a spiritual practice like 6 weeks after we forgot. I know that's exactly what I've done. And obviously, like in practices where we're trying to meditate or have stillness or focus, there can be so much thought, so many thoughts going through and scattered thoughts. That can be really difficult, right? And we just feel so much. We feel so much as sensitive people. And so when we come to embody our feelings in a practice, I think that can be challenging because there is so much and there can be some really difficult stuff in there, right? We feel intensely. So it can bring a lot up. And I think actually that sometimes when we maybe are avoiding doing our practice, I think maybe one of the reasons could be because we know that there is a lot of stuff in there that we're trying to avoid. But let's flip it around. Let's look at how ADHD or dyslexia can actually enhance our spiritual experience and provide unique perspectives. The first thing I want to say is like we are heart-driven people. We have big hearts. Because we're sensitive and we think differently, right? We are driven by different values. We care a lot. And because of all that, I think that we have a great compassion in us, that we want to use that compassion in the world and apply it in the world in some way. And that can be a real benefit because that can help when we turn that compassion towards ourselves. That can help us drive our spiritual practice. I also think, right, another thing is that as highly sensitive people, we're really sensitive to energies and vibrations, different sensations. And so that can actually be an advantage, I think, in our practice because we can actually get pretty quick feedback about what a practice is doing, when we do something with our mind, our attention, or we chant or whatever, I think we often get some feedback really quickly because of that sensitivity. And so I think we can quickly learn from that and grow our practice and our skill with that practice. That's pretty cool. We also, I think, tend to be good at noticing patterns in the world and in ourselves, in our body, our inner experience. Or at least it's something that we can develop. I think our brains can be quite attuned to that. And that's really important because again, like and coupling that with the sensitivity to energy and feeling, by noticing the patterns in that, we can start to notice our internal processes. We can notice how thoughts come and go. We can notice how energy affects us and the patterns in that energy. And we can notice start to notice our own patterns of behavior that are creating certain outcomes in the world that maybe we want to change in our life. And because we have this great pattern recognition ability, I think that's really powerful. I think that's really great. The other thing I think is with noticing patterns is that we will notice, I think, patterns in like the moon, the lunar phases, and like seasonal cycles and other cycles, and the way that impacts our body and our mind and our emotions and our energy. And so having that awareness it's really awesome, because over time we start to change our life however we can to start to work with those seasons, with them and not against them, right? And so that's actually really great that we have that awareness, because I don't think everybody does. Another thing that we have, I think, is that I think that nature is really powerful for us. And I think we know this. When we go into nature, it just helps us, like, with our energy and our presence. It's like such a recharge. And I think that we are able to experience this majesty and this beauty of nature in such a deep way that's so meaningful for us. So I think that connection with nature is really important. And it's so awesome that we can rely on going to nature, even if we can't yet make our spiritual practice in the way we would like. At least we know we can go to nature and we can recharge. And that brings me to sharing a clip with you from the upcoming podcast series experiment that I'm running, which is all about wild-hearted, sensitive, neurodivergent people like us. People that have created spiritual practice in their life and really changed their life with spiritual practice. People with, who have dyslexia and ADHD, OCD, and I just loved speaking with these people, friends and teachers of mine, and just hearing their stories about how they grew up and how they make spiritual practice work in their life. And, the way that they're really thriving through this practice, and they're able to bring the gifts of their wild heart to the world. And I have a clip here from Carrie Varela, and she talks about the importance of place and of nature to people like us.
I think place is important, and, healers, we need to be in a place where our heart can be settled and we can be, at peace with ourselves and our choices, our life. And I think that there's probably a reason, for me, I don't think living in a city was really good for my energy. Like it just was ungrounding, and I value time in nature to bring me back to just kind of this original frequency of nature. And
I hope you're excited about this upcoming podcast experiment. So if you are, please, I hope you'll like and subscribe so that you can see when it drops. It will be dropping on the 1st of August. So yay. So just to close out, we talked about how it can be frustrating when we can't create the spiritual practice that we actually crave so much, because we want to help create meaning in the world. And we know that our spiritual practice can help us create that meaning by helping us thrive and have the energy we need. But yeah, and it can be really problematic trying to, do a routine when we're not made to keep routines like other people. There's a lot of problems, but there's a lot of benefits. And just remember, the world does need the gifts of your wild heart. It really does. Thank you.